Welcome. Today we'll be looking at a video called Please Don't Buy Atomic Heart. I had a very interesting and intelligent opening for this video, but I forgot to press the record button. What I want to say though is that this is the Streisand effect. Again, as it was with Hogwarts Legacy, so too is it now with Atomic Heart. You popularize stuff. In Barbara Streisand's case, at least, there was something about it because it was still, written press back then. Now, with all the algorithms we have with YouTube and Google and other stuff, things become more popular the more we talk about them. And what can be more popular than a new game that stands to be released in a week or two? In 2 weeks. Sure. So let's begin the video and not waste any more time. Now, if I can only move the mouse. Okay, we're good.
Today is August 9th, 1945. The US drops 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, turning the cities to dust and ending the lives of more than 200,000 people, shortly after which Japan surrenders.
Kind of a weird way to start the video about a video game. I wonder where this goes. I think I already know, but let's see where this goes.
In celebration, the US government creates and publishes a tabletop board game called Nuclear Love.
Never heard of that. Well, I'm not an expert in board games, so you have to excuse me there if I'm wrong, but I take everything with a grain of salt, so I don't really believe this.
Themed according to the operation performed. It was made for 2 players, where one would be playing on the side of
This is a random board game that he put there, right?
the US, and the other would be playing as Japan.
No, that's a random board game. Like, I know my video production quality is non-existent, and we can't really afford any better. But usually when I post stuff, I at least have images beforehand talk about the stuff I'm talking about. Even the Blood Bowl thing I just posted today or yesterday, it was still images of the players of the Blood Bowl teams. You know what I'm getting with this? I think he's lying.
The game features dice that look like miniature atomic bombs.
That's a pretty cool concept, but they wouldn't really be the 6s then, right? You would expect for a board game made in what, 47, 49, whatever, 50, in the 50s, yeah. You would expect it to have regular dices, because dices in other forms are more uncommon, I think, during that period. Sometimes they're even uncommon in today's age, but they are more popularized thanks to games like Warhammer and D&D becoming, more out there. But still, it's kind of a bad shape to have them like bombs. Like, that's a bad concept. Like, I don't trust governments at all, but it's a bad concept to have them like bombs. And if a government's gonna invest into something, it should at least, come up with a good idea. And I don't think the bombs are that good of an idea. Interesting, but not good. So I still think he's lying about that.
And the person who manages to bomb the other's city capital first wins. By rules of the game, however, the US side would always have the first turn, which brought natural advantage, and...
Okay, but are there more rules to this? Is this just it? I'm skeptical of its existence and the fact that it's so imbalanced, because even games that are, not fair are a little bit. The Russianism is coming out. I don't know why. Even the games that are not balanced are, they try at least to get there. Hell, even Unstable Unicorns tried, so for better or worse.
The board game, despite the patriotism and popularity, failed on the market. Sounds like a rather...
I mean, if he is saying the truth, which I doubt, it kind of makes sense, because it is an unbalanced game. But there's still something in me that doesn't really trust him about this.
Unethical piece of military propaganda that nullifies the tragedies, right?
Not really. I couldn't care less. I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't care less about this. It's been a bunch of years since then. The thing is dead and gone already. America and Japan are at peace. Honestly, nowadays it's kind of weird to care about that. I mean, it's interesting to learn into it, to dive into it, but to care about it now, it's long dead and gone. And America has been really helpful for Japan, so I don't think, everything that America did for Japan can be nullified by just this simple board game that you presume it exists, that you claim it exists.
Right? That's because nuclear love never existed, and I just made it up.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. But of course, I'm always right. Except when I'm not. But this time I'm right.
But there is a similar situation that does exist that follows this formula.
Is it gonna be like one of those Call of Duty games or games made by the US military that were just basically Obama's training programs for weddings?
And it is about to be released, and its name is Atomic Heart.
Doesn't that happen in the USSR? If I understand well about the game, it just happens in the USSR with utopian USSR version of stuff. I'm not really sure where this is getting.
I want to preface the video by saying that if you're the type of person that is still going to buy and play something like Hogwarts Legacy despite its infamy, you might as well click off.
Oh no, now I know what I'm dealing with, but I kind of have the same idea from the beginning, from the made-up game. I know what I'm dealing with. A bunch of words that YouTube won't let me monetize this video if I say, or it might take my channel down if I say. But yes, it's one of those kinds that really think you can't separate having a hobby or something and doing something enjoyable without supporting something. Boy, do all those people that supported bombing in Afghanistan are gonna feel bad about it. Yeah, I don't think anybody felt bad when they bought Call of Duty for that. Or when people bought, what was it, like Tekken, which is supported by the Saudi prince's money. You know what I'm going with this, right? I hope so.
As I'm going to explain why it's a bad idea to purchase and play Atomic Heart.
20 minutes, let's see how long we can take this, by the way.
Go on, you have a Joe Rogan podcast to catch up on, or play Call of Duty or something, I don't know. Off you go. Being Ukrainian myself, there's
nothing bad with listening to Joe Rogan. Sometimes he talks cool stuff with cool people. I don't understand this hate for Joe Rogan, which is kind of absurd if you think about it. Nevertheless, and I don't understand what's bad about Call of Duty. Yeah, I know I just made the joke earlier about bombings in Afghanistan, but not like you're doing it when you're playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare, are you? Like Black Ops and you're still not doing it.
making this video to spread awareness, so even if 100 people see this, I'm satisfied. Even if one person cancels their pre-order because of this video, I'm satisfied.
I don't know, I might just make a pre-order. I already have Hogwarts Legacy now in the box. It's waiting for me to install it and play it. I just didn't get the time. I'm too busy playing Starship Troopers. It's a pretty fun game.
I will be turning monetization on for this video if possible, and all revenue from this video will be going straight to local Ukrainian charity.
Oh yeah, he did mention he's Ukrainian, so that makes sense, I guess. That he's donating the money from this to Ukrainian charities. He might make some pretty cool... I think he made some big bucks with it. Oh, nice. People should look up the receipts for those charity things. That'll be interesting.
But let's start with the basics. What is Atomic Heart?
A video game. Yeah, I know. Dumb answer, but still.
Atomic Heart is a video game set to be released on February 21st, 2023 that is positioned by the developers as BioShock in the USSR.
That's already a cool concept. I don't know how to tell you, but BioShock in the USSR? That's a pretty cool concept. BioShock in itself is a pretty cool concept. The first one is, we can call it rambling madness about libertarianism, individualism against collectivism, and giving in to your depraved desires. And you know what? Nobody knows what the first BioShock's about. It's just a mess of things. But still, it is a pretty fun game. And if this calls itself BioShock in the USSR, well, that's an intriguing point to catch with. But enough, that's what some people do with books, you know? They compare like, oh, it's like Game of Thrones, but in Iceland, or Game of Thrones, but it's in Japan. It's a way and a marketing technique to sell stuff. Now let's continue.
It describes the events of the alternative history of the 50s, where the Soviet Union emerged from the Second World War scientifically and technologically advanced.
I mean, yeah, that's the premise of the game. Can't really say anything about that one.
Reaching the peak of development with cold nuclear fusion and intelligent robots.
Yay! Is it that much? I think it's more like Fallout in this point of view from its history than, Bioshock, but still, pretty cool concept.
You play as Mayor Nechayev, who is a KGB major and an officer in special assignments.
Nice. I don't really think you get to play a KGB officer or KGB guy in general in video games, or am I missing something? Thinking about Call of Duty, but I don't know why. No, I don't think you get to play that too often. Like, you don't really get to play, what's it called? The bad guy as properly as you should,
So far, the game has been universally appraised, earning top spots in oncoming games lists on sites like PC Gamer, IGN, and Gamescom.
I mean, the concept is fun and it looks pretty okay, so makes sense.
But let's see who is really behind it. The game is developed by a Russian studio called Mundfish.
Okay, it's a Russian studio that developed it. Good job. And let's look a little bit at what's it called again. Look at them for a tiny bit of a moment, if you will, because it says it's a Russian game development studio, but where are they situated? Because that's an important question. Atomic Hearts, and let's see, devs. Let's look at it, because that's always an important question where a thing is situated. Oh, it's headquartered in Cyprus. That means they pay, guess what? Taxes, the Cyprus government. Guess where Cyprus is located in, or in what economic union it's part of. Yep. Sure, the devs might be Russian, but their money isn't going to Russia, I'm telling you. Not while the EU still exists out there and it's hungry for money.
On the website of the studio, there is currently no mention of the fact that this is a Russian game dev. The story of the company begins with its launch in 2017 by a team of 4 like-minded gaming enthusiasts
I don't see that as a problem. I mean, it makes sense.
In Cyprus. At the same time, the studio was mentioned as a Russian one, with an office in Moscow.
Yeah, guess what? There's also Ubisoft. Ubisoft place in Romania. EA place in Romania. That doesn't really mean those companies are Romanian. Or even if they would be, it's still kind of weird because the headquarters is in Cyprus. That pays taxes to the EU. It matters so little what they do that.
In Russian gaming and IT media articles. In 2019, there was even a report from the Moscow office of the studio. And after the events of 2022, the company completely ostracized itself from being known as a strictly Russian company and is now presenting itself as international.
I mean, most companies regularly do this because it kind of makes sense when you have headquarters in different places in the world and you have many people. It's the whole globalism spiel. I'm not going to go into it right now because, it's a long discussion, but it makes sense that a company would say that.
Which in terms of their history of office installments and offshores means half Cyprus, half Armenian, half Singapore, and whatever the hell else.
Yeah, welcome to globalism, I know. It's not that nice, but we deal with it with what we can.
Just to avoid sanctions and negative spotlight. So,
I mean, they're headquartered in Cyprus. Nobody has sanctions on Cyprus, of all places. Now, if you want to get into the real nitty-gritty of this political thing, which I hate doing, what side of Cyprus? The Greek or the Turk part? That's another war about to happen there.
So, now that we've established that this is actually a Russian studio, what?
No, you didn't establish anything. As long as their headquarters in Cyprus, they paid the government of Cyprus. Thus, they aren't really Russian as a company. The devs, sure, they might be Russian. I'm not saying no. You know, multiple headquarters everywhere. They claim to be, you know, an international company. You understand? They're not really that connected to Russia as you might hope them to be.
What is their opinion on the war going on? What could be their stance on this tragic matter that could save and keep their public image and also not tank the sales? Let's read out loud together.
Sure, go ahead. I think I know this one. I think I read it, to be honest. Well, let's see.
Guys, we have noted the question.
Not I'll read it because I... No, screw it.
Surrounding where we at Mundfish stand. We want to assure you that Mundfish is a developer and studio with a global team focused on an innovative game and is undeniably a pro-peace organization against violence against people.
Okay, that's your standard PR response. It's not really anything damning, but PR responses are never made to be damning of anything or anyone. They're trying to save face in a way, but you know, going like, oh, we don't, we're against violence against people, we're pro-peace. Yeah, most companies are, because that's how capitalism works. You don't want your customers to not exist. And it happens. It is an important thing. You want your customers to still live. But yeah, not anything that big or important. I think it's a normal stance to take in certain matters, especially one like this.
We do not comment on politics or religion. Rest assured, we're a global team focused... Hold on, stop.
Go on, why do you stop? Why do you stop? They are a global team. Just mentioned that they have headquarters everywhere. Why did you stop? That was the nice part.
We do not comment on politics?
That's what got you riled up? Yeah, I mean, hell, if they really keep their word with that one, they might just be one of the better companies out there. Because every company comments on the politics, be it changing their flags to the Black Lives Matter fist or the rainbow stuff. I'm just saying, if they don't do that, that's pretty nice. They're sticking out of politics. Don't pick a side. Just stay in the middle and do what you know how to do best. Make money. That's how corporations should be in today's age. More focused on making money than on politics and whatever happens in the world.
You're making a game that's sole idea is USSR renewal and communism.
Yes, and where's the problem with that? Is this supposed to be a bad thing to live in a utopian, dystopian, alternate version of the USSR? Because it's not. It's a video game. It's fiction. I have Metro, what was the game, 2035 right next to me, right here. The hardcover version by Dmitry Gurovsky from Paladin Edition. Nice. Anyway, leaving the book aside, it's not really anything that bad to make a game about something, especially a utopian version of something that existed.
You classified your game as inspired by Bioshock and Prey, yet...
Yes, that's normal, but marketing strategy. What's bad about that?
You go the no politics in my video game route?
Yeah, it's the normal route that everybody should be picking. Let's be honest, if you're playing Darktide, you don't want to be lectured about gender equality in the Imperium or among the demon host of Nurgle. You want to kill the demons. And that's it. That's where games should stand. Bioshock, oh, we're inspired by Bioshock. Yeah, but Bioshock happens in the fictional world. Separate fiction from reality. Different concepts.
This is one step away from the types of gamers who say, I don't like politics in my video game, and then immediately open up Fallout.
The fact that you think this is an own really proves that there's no difference between people that think like this and people that can't tell Fallout, Bioshock, and the Metal Gear Solid or whatever, Metal Gear. They can't separate them. God, I'm losing my powers over English. This is a bad argument because there's a difference between a game having politics in its world and politics in real life. People don't want politics in real life to be in their game. Such a simple concept, but you numbnuts with your political agenda never really seem to grasp it. Well, you refuse to grasp it because it's not what you want. That concept scares you because this gives you power. The moment people just tell you they don't want to deal with your stuff in video games, that's the moment you lose power. And that's what you're trying to do. I read you guys like an open book. Maybe because I had to deal with you so much.
What absolute nonsense. After that, their response to criticism...
Violence against which people exactly? Can't even say it. This is the response to folks asking them if they took money from the Russian government and its entities sanctioned for their role in the Russo-Ukrainian war, calling them spammers. I mean, if you're gonna spam them, like you people... yeah, you know what? I think that's a good one. If you're gonna spam the company like you people did with the guy that created Bayonetta, you kind of have it coming. Let's be honest, nobody wants to hear the same question over and over. And they said people in general kind of refers to everything. You have to understand this. The company is based in Cyprus, but if it has people that are Russian, it's a little bit dangerous to be that anti-war, you know? Unless, of course, you want to go the stupid route where you can fire composers and ballerinas and stuff that work in Germany or America, for example, for not denouncing the war. Or for not saying anything about the war, for that matter of fact. Let's not play those stupid games, because you're not gonna win with them. Trust me.
Regarding that tweet was simply to ban people, so it's a short end there. Now, let's look at the CEO of Mundfish.
Looks like a YouTuber that does prank channels. That has a prank channel and he does those staged pranks like, oh, would you leave your boyfriend if I gave you this Lamborghini? Or something like that.
Whose name is Robert Pagratuni. Except that it isn't. His actual name is Maxim Zatsepin.
Yes, and my name is Tergor, except the fact that it's not. And your name is Harenko, except I doubt it is Harenko. I'm sorry I'm not seeing this as a problem, to be honest, having fake names on the internet. It is something you should have in the real world. But I guess in his case, it's kind of hard to be the CEO and have a fake name. Whatever.
Max previously had a position of a creative director / top manager in Mail.ru, which is now presented as VK, the biggest social media platform in Russia.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I have to ask. Okay, he had that position before, and what's that gonna say? How is this supposed to convince me not to buy the game?
Russia. It doesn't take much to figure out that a platform that is based in Russia, directed and controlled by Russia, and is used only by Russians will have a strict pro-Russian stance.
Is VK only useful? Can only Russians join VK? Because I thought you could always make an account there even if you're not Russian. You know, it being the Facebook of Russians. But you know, it's kind of useless to join it if you don't speak the language. I think people can join it if they're not from there. Well, not nowadays, but I think they were able to. Yeah, okay, it doesn't really say that much. And the American government's in bed with Twitter and other social media companies, as the Twitter files said. Allegedly, of course, because they're not that sure about anything in this world. On YouTube, at least.
Dance, but it doesn't end there. Meet Yevgenia Sidova.
I don't understand how you people could have those names. But then again, I guess this is just me being mean to Slav. I think our names, Romanian names, are hard for Slav peoples too. Slav people.
As the founder of Mundfish, she's a former model and an owner of a modeling agency.
Okay. Irrelevant.
She worked at New Media Stars, where she was in charge of the computer graphics department. That company is now in charge of various pro-Russian mass media, such...
Oh, so you're telling me she worked for a company, then she founded this stuff, and now the company she used to work for is doing pro-Russian propaganda? Oh no. How is this related to her if they started doing that after she left? In all honesty, this just goes nowhere, right? I'm just wasting my time.
Such as Vzгляд.ru and Dni.ru. According to the former employees of the company, all Mundfish transactions and checks are on her behalf. Let's roll back the...
And this proves nothing. 6 minutes in, and we have really nothing of value. 14 more minutes. Let's see if we can go through it faster.
Time a little bit. The game has been in development for quite a while, and by quite a while I mean at least 7 years, with its earliest trailers dating back to 2017. And the scene in 2017 and 2018 wasn't as smooth for them. Many people got interested and excited, but a lot of people were skeptical, the reason being a shady system of pre-orders. Let me paint you a picture.
Okay, now you might be onto something with this one. Let's see where it goes.
An unknown company posts a small teaser trailer of some generic assets and a description to cause hype, with all of the effort to guide you to their pre-order page, where you would be met with a $60 base game, $90 pre-order for Gold Edition, and $100 for Premium Edition.
Yeah, this is what companies do nowadays. It's not good, but still not that bad. Everybody does this. It's not the only you think it is.
Mind you, you see these price tags, and there's exactly 2 minutes of badly made teaser trailer footage with no gameplay to serve as the video game's representation and marketing. What did not help was the fact that the game was being developed by a studio that no one has ever heard from before, being just born and publishing Atomic Heart as their first game, which means that they have no background and no past games that would justify the pre-order prices.
Except it has turned into an industry standard for the money-making companies. This isn't an argument, this is just saying, oh, they're a no-name company, why are they asking for so much money? Because they can. I can ask for a bunch of money so people can see my videos. I'm not going to do that because you have to know your targets. You understand where I'm going with this. You could have asked for money to watch this video. That would have saved me a lot of time.
However, the breaking point for many people was that the game didn't even have a release date.
Welcome. This is what... Are you new to this stuff? This usually happens, especially with new projects that take off the ground by unknown companies and unknown games, really. This isn't proving anything. You're just telling me, oh, people were skeptical because, oh, look at this company that has nothing to it. Yeah, well, welcome to the real world. People weren't skeptical about Blizzard once the game came out. Why? The first game, I mean. Why? Because they didn't care about the company's name. They care about the game being good. Nobody knew when Blackthorn was gonna release. You know, I'm extrapolating here, generalizing. Nobody knew when Blackthorn was gonna release, and people still bought it. Same with StarCraft and Warcraft 1.
Or even a release year at the time, which meant that you're investing up to $100 for something that might not come out.
Yes, like Star Citizen, but you know, is the risk when you pre-order stuff. Still nothing that substantial here.
Out ever, practically losing your money. You know what else is $60 for the same price as the base game? Elden Ring. Doubts started to rise.
And there's no point here. Yes, Elden Ring is also $60. Good job. Whoopie-doo. Blood Bowl 3 still is $60 too if you want to get at it. And I'm looking up for that one. Hogwarts Legacy was... let's not talk about that.
Rise, as many people called this out to be a fake footage from a video game that doesn't exist, made by a shadow company with no records, just to scam people out of their pre-order money.
Yeah, like every new starting company ever that only shows this and promises the game. They decided to make pre-orders, and here it is. You're not talking about them stealing your stuff. It's not like they're forcing you to give them your money. That's theft. If they're threatening you to give them their money, that's... I knew the word, but I knew it in Romanian. Anyway... let's move on.
And it's been like that for a long time until they dropped more trailers and promo material and so on and so forth.
So they proved they have something to sell after all.
But the initial impression fell flat.
And good job. The initial impressions for many things happen like that.
Now let's talk economics. If you were to buy one and spend $60, where would these $60 go?
Oh, I haven't checked how Cyprus splits money or earnings. But if it's the same as in Romania, then like 60% of that $60 goes to the company and 40% goes to the Cyprus government. And I guess they have to pay electricity and utilities for where they work if they're not on a work from home system. That's the economics of it.
That is a really good question. To answer it, let's look at what kind of companies signed up to be the investors and publishers for Atomic Heart, basically to be the ones who would be taking the large cut in Atomic Heart's revenue. The investors of the studio are Chinese Tencent.
Yes, Tencent has everything, I know. Kind of hard to fight them now because companies weren't willing to fight them back then when they first started. No surprise there.
And Russian GEM Capital and Gaijin Entertainment. Tencent.
Gaijin Entertainment? These are the guys that make, what was it? Not World of War Tanks, not World of Tanks, War Thunder. Right? Oh, yeah, they are the guys that made War Thunder. Cool.
Needs no introduction, being infamous with its licensing technique and hunger over users' data. So let's start with Gaijin Entertainment, which moved from Russia to Hungary in 2022.
I guess that's a good decision for them. And no, honestly, I think it is a better decision overall. And not for political or economical reasons, but just because Hungary is kind of cool if you've ever been there.
In order to avoid conflict and continue its activities.
Pretty smart decisions.
The head of the PR, Konstantin Hovorun, illegally visited the Ukrainian Crimea, which is temporarily occupied by Russia, and repeatedly spoke in support of the policies and politics of the Russian Federation. But the most interesting sponsor is GEM Capital.
Okay, so there's like one guy that visited Crimea and then spoke in favor of the war. Awful from his side, but not really seeing why I shouldn't buy Atomic Heart.
GEM Capital is a Russian fund founded by Anatoly Pali.
Yeah, that picture. I think he had the best picture of everybody that was put here until now. But I guess that's what happens with rich people.
Who previously worked at Gazprom's subsidiary, Gazenergoset. The studio raised investments from them in 2021, where Anatoly met and became friends with oligarchs who got rich on oil and gas activities and now have the opportunity.
I mean, should we look at other big American companies or Chinese companies or German companies or anything, any other company, and just, look at all their relationships? So, let's be honest, Blizzard had Bobby Kotick, who was on Epstein's either flights or on the island. If he was on the island, that's even worse. I'm just saying. People still buy Blizzard games, I guess. Do they even make games nowadays? Anyway, not really connecting.
To invest large sums of money in various projects. Namely, the export of gas and oil is one of the main categories of income of the Russian budget.
Yeah, that's how they make their money. I'm not getting it.
The money from which goes to the military industry. And
yes, and the Americans' biggest exports, the money they make from that also goes to the military industry. Yes, that usually happens once you make a bunch of money. A part of it goes to the military fund. In some cases, more than it should, because the whole NATO thing that forces that, well, Trump was the one that kind of forced the NATO members to pay their 2% or the percent for the membership. Some went a little bit beyond and spent more. But yeah, kind of happens.
And if you know basic economics and finances, you know that all investments must be returned, including interest. Moreover,
yes, that's what happens when you take money from someone. You give it back. When it's somebody like a bank, or in this case, a trust fund, you give it back with interest. It happens.
Moreover, a Twitter user found Pelly's connection to other Russian state institutions, such as the sanctioned, systematically important bank VTB. The game attracted as many as
Is that supposed to mean anything to me? Doesn't mean anything to me.
4 publishers: Xbox, 4Divinity, Focus Entertainment, and VK Play. Let's focus on VK Play. It is known to be a gaming division of the former Mail.ru, the same Mail.ru who had Maxim Zatsepin as their former top manager.
Okay. Nice. That's good. He used his connections to get his game published on this Russian thing. He also got the ability to publish with the Xbox of all people, so you know what?
And again, it is closely connected with the Russian government and participates in many initiatives of the Kremlin. If Atomic Heart is being developed with money that originated from sanctioned Russian businesses such as VK and Mail.ru, and banks which are systematically important to Russian government such as VTB, profits from the game could be directed to help the Russian government in its invasion.
Bombs in Afghanistan. Money made from American companies and people that bought American games to do that. You might say, oh, but what about it? I mean, it's not the same thing. It kind of is the same thing. You're supporting bad things. You know what? You should probably go, take your computer, whatever, throw it out the window, smash it to bits, same with your phone, same with your laptop, same with your television, in fact. Smash everything to bits. Nothing, not even your consoles, not even those. Smash everything to bits. Tiny pieces everywhere. And don't buy any other electronic device ever again. In fact, I think you should also try to cut yourself off from electricity and the natural gases, because there might be something unethical about those too. You know what? Food's also unethical. Why do you have to kill animals? It's better to be vegan after all. You see where I'm going with this? You probably see, because I think the people that watch this are smart. Or I know that my regular people are smart. I'm not sure about anybody else. But I also know one thing. Can't really claim this moral superiority of, oh, something bad happens with this money while you're tweeting it from an iPhone. Doesn't work like that.
Thus, by buying Atomic Heart, you would pay money to companies that support the aggressive policies and military actions of the Russian Federation.
I have the perfect solution for this. You know how you combat this? You buy soccer too. That way you're a warmonger, a proper warmonger. You're supporting both sides of the war. And you win at the end, because you're getting to play both games.
Lastly, there were some incredible terms of service and privacy policies spotted over at Mundfish. The website now leads to a 404, but someone managed to capture these screenshots. Basically, it says that your information can and will be transferred to the Russian government, in particularly the Federal Security Service, and not just your username, but your full name, physical address, email, phone number, IP address, and so on.
So this only tells me that you shouldn't have your internet on. You can't send data while the internet is off. There are ways for that. Okay, this one might be a really good motive. This one's a really good one. And it's kind of sad that we had to wait like 11 minutes until we got here, until we got to a good reason not to get the game. But then again, I wonder how many American companies or how much information the American government and Chinese government have about me. You can't really protect your data nowadays. Not properly. Not in this age of the internet. It is a good reason, though, to be skeptical of the game. I give you that. Because of the terms of services. All the other reasons are unimportant.
Gotta say, their mobilization methods are getting kinda dire. Finally, let's talk about the game itself for a bit. Set in the USSR in 1955, Atomic Heart's story begins as the Soviet scientist Dmitry Sechenov creates an AI-assisted legion of robots that take control of all manual labor, leaving humans free to live a life of leisure and luxury.
Marx would be so proud of this.
The main protagonist is a mentally unstable officer on special assignments, nicknamed P3, who is sent by this Professor Sechenov to keep the situation at Facility 3826 from deteriorating. The game is set in a utopian universe where the USSR had won and had a major boost in technical progress. The gameplay is centered around fighting through hordes of various types of enemies, ranging from playing robots to cosmic horror type obscurities. The game is filled to the brim with USSR themed keepsakes and memorabilia,
Because it happened in the USSR. That's why it is.
from drinking condensed milk straight out of the can to actual flags and
That's a funny one. I heard stories about stuff like this. Condensed milk in cans. I want to apologize. I just got very bored and I had to go out, take a smoke, drink some cola, some capitalist juices, and come back. This is a hard one. I would much rather react to the Temple Institute again than this. And I just stopped the recording because I didn't move the mouse to the proper screen. Yuppie.
symbols of the USSR, hammer and sickle.
Yes, because it's the USSR, fictional USSR.
This kind of approach to the showcase of USSR and communism walks a thin line between using it for world building and praising it.
It's a utopia where communism gets to happen for real. There's no praising to it there. Do you see them waving around communist flags and be like, yeah, we want to thank Marx for all these ideas? No. It's okay to play in a world with bad people. Yes, the world where communism wins is bad, but whatever. That's besides the point. There's nothing inherently bad in it.
And there are many solid reasons to believe that this line has been crossed completely
I don't think it's been crossed, but let's see.
right into promoting and idealizing the USSR regime and using it as a tool of USSR and Russian military propaganda.
I mean, what's the example?
And there have been events to prove this. Take
Show them.
a look at this event that people behind VK organized. It was a special showcase of atomic heart for the Russian press, which was stylized in the game's Soviet aesthetics.
Yes, because it happens in the Soviet Union. Really, there's nothing to it. Yeah, no wonder they use the world's aesthetic to promote the game. That's the selling point. It happens in the utopian, whatever it's called, Soviet Union. Of course it's gonna do that. Is it? Marketing 101. Really, learn something about it.
And they did not go stingy on the decorations, huh? The event included
I mean, if you're gonna make an event, you have to spend some money for the press interaction. Let's be honest. You want a successful event, not a pathetic event.
a dinner in a large banquet hall where you could see Soviet-style slogans like "Glory to the Soviet engineers"
Yeah, because they made the robots. It's related to the game.
or "Comrade, join the Society of the Future."
Yes, because it is the society of the future where the robots work. Still nothing.
One of the users in Twitter replies said, "Imagine if developers of Wolfenstein had a Nazi-themed party."
They had no balls for that one. I'm telling you. It's the whole stigma that Nazism has and communism does, which is hypocrisy. Poland got it right. Banned both of them. They're equally bad. But on the other hand, they're pretty nice marketing tools. Problem is that you can't really do this with a Nazi-themed party because, you know, the Nazi is still considered the worst evil out there, even years after it happened, and we got some pretty evil stuff later down the road, but of course we're not going to look at it the same way because the World War didn't happen because of Pol Pot or Ceausescu or any other leaders or bad leaders. You see, unfortunately we can't have that, and I say unfortunately because it should be in the same spectrum as communism. It's okay to have commie parties in every country. It's okay to have commie-themed parties. But Nazi ones, it's not okay. Though they are both equally evil ideologies that really shouldn't be there and shouldn't be promoted. That does not mean they should not be explored as universes. Funny enough, that's a good comparison between Wolfenstein and this one. I think Wolfenstein would have been a better theme with it, a better comparison to Atomic Heart. But again, In Wolfenstein, you kill Nazis, and this one you don't kill commies, you kill robots. So, what can you say?
And I would say that's well said. Sergei Mohov, a Remedy lead gameplay designer, rightfully accused Mundfish of being nostalgic about the Soviet regime or even glorifying it. Ironically, the party's date coincided with the adoption of the new anti-LGBT law in Russia, which
Okay, that's just a happenstance. And do you think they really waited for the law to pass and for them to do that? Really? It seems a little bit paranoid. But then again, how many conspiracy theories have been proven right? I don't know, you tell me.
Which brings us right back to USSR, I guess. A major point that I want to bring attention to, that there have been numerous well-made games with a Soviet or USSR or low-lie Eastern Europe theme or setting. Let's bring some examples. In Singularity, the Soviet Union discovered a source of element 99 and has special powers that could warp time itself, trying to bring it to the glory days through time travel. If you're in the mood for video games that came out 15 years ago but already played through all the world famous ones, you should give it a try.
That's a good recommendation, I guess.
In Half-Life 2, the setting of City 17 has not been directly said to be in a specific part of the world, but it's clear that it's been influenced by Eastern Europe's architecture and style.
Is it? I mean, it is the brutalist style of building stuff and so on. I wouldn't really consider it that heavily inspired.
Bulgarian art director Viktor Antonov, the person behind City 17 and Dunwall of Dishonored, mentions his childhood hometown of Sofia as main inspiration.
I mean, that's interesting. But wait a minute. Bulgaria was never in the Soviet Union. Neither was Romania, if you think about it. A bunch of countries from the Warsaw Pact weren't in the Soviet Union.
For City 17. Other places like Belgrade were also used as reference. In this,
I mean, Serbia and Yugoslavia were their own special kind of communism back in the day. So, not really. It doesn't work in the... You probably just gave one example of the USSR. The other ones are just inspired by other stuff.
Disco Elysium, the streets of Martinez.
Disco Elysium is made by communists. What? And I don't have... It's not me just saying that. It's just the developers thanking Marx for all their stuff. And everything in the game, in fact. That's a bad example. Why shouldn't we not play Atomic Heart? Because, it promotes USSR teams, when the creators of Disco Elysium are communists. It doesn't make any sense.
Show what it would be like to live through the failure of an attempted communist revolution. You can still see artillery damage and bullet holes in the walls, notes the lead writer Helen Hinpere. There's this feeling of being stuck in the past.
Yeah. And?
People of Soviet and post-Soviet era are very familiar with this feeling, especially those who live in countries like Moldova or Estonia, which is the homeland of the game's lead designer.
I like how you put Moldova as an example, which is an interesting... it's an interesting take, because you see... Moldova as a country has been stuck in the past and under the Russian influence sphere for a long while. Funny part, Transnistria, the part of Moldova that wants to be independent and, it's more filled with Russians, kind of tends for those old days of the Soviet Union and so on. Because, Moldova was part of Soviet Union. Hey, this guy says he's Ukrainian. There's some parts of Romania that they're still in Ukraine. I'm trading back the Dobroja for that part. I'm giving Dobroja to Bulgaria if you give us that power back. Now, of course, I'm just joking.
Robert Kurvitz. The game takes its own spin of what being a communist entails through its own political vision quest and partially the main quest. I won't spoil it, and I do suggest you try it out yourself. Coming back to Atomic Heart.
Okay, finally, we're going back to the main game after these examples that were more or less hit or miss. with what you wanted to say.
Another point that rubs me the wrong way is the recent marketing strategy. It seems
What? Oh no. Oh boy. I thought Eastern Europe, I thought we here in our little part of the world were saved from the wokeness that took over the West. Oh boy. Let's see.
seems like their marketing team realized that their previous shady strategy has failed to bring in pre-orders, so they went with another plan to make typical capital G gamers buy their game, which is of course none other than through sexualization and objectification.
Of course, those feminist arguments, because if you didn't know, feminism was also a communist ideology. Yes, the feminists had their roots in communist ideology. The whole idea itself from the very first wave is communist in its nature. In fact, I don't think many people know that. Okay, so he doesn't like the sexy robots. Okay, and you don't like them. That's the biggest problem. There's nothing really to it. They're robots. They have fake boobs. They're not real. Hell, they're not real twice. First, because they're robots. Second, because they're in the video game.
Of women. So far I have avoided showing these characters on screen, but I am talking about the couple of female USSR-styled robots that they suddenly added in recent trailers
Yes, those are... I think they're ballerinas, technically.
and thumbnails to get the attention of the lusty neckbeards. Just
I don't know how to tell you this, but one of the biggest things that sells something is sex. Sex sells. Again, I know I made the argument at some point that it's kind of awful that this happens, you know, the whole violence and things, and people get desensitized to violence and stuff. You know, if it's not stupid if it works.
by searching Atomic Heart on YouTube and scrolling far down, it's impossible to miss the countless trailers, thumbnails, edits, and shorts about
Did you fall for this?
these characters, with some videos claiming that they'll buy the game just for these two, which also brings
I mean, yeah, people buy stuff for different reasons. The models look very good, I have to agree with that, but, you know, I don't think you're in a position to judge people. If people want to buy something because... Wait a minute. You're not in a position to judge people at all. What are you talking about women buying those Santa Brown books with the half-naked, ripped guy on the cover? Oh, it only works one way. Excuse me. I forgot how you left this think. Or work, because you don't really think, you operate like a computer. But not as advanced, unfortunately.
in the ongoing issue of sexualizing lesbians in media. Not
They're not lesbians, they're robots. Was there anything about this that really made them... that made this guy really think the female robots, or the robots that look like women, because the robots are lesbians?
Not only is marketing like this highly unethical and immoral, as we
Nope. No. Ethical and moral. It's not. First of all, in the case of real women and models that accept stuff like this, they accept it for money. They get paid to do that. This is just something that they created. They're basically complaining about pixels and zeros and ones being sexualized. Like, I know real women are hard to get. I understand that. And yes, looking at someone's profile picture on Twitter, you can probably get the idea why he thinks like this. Mostly because if you associate pixels and numbers with objectification, it kind of leads to that. But don't worry, my friend. There are women in Ukraine that will probably be willing to settle for you at some point.
we've been fighting with objectifying and sexualizing women, especially in media and advertisements, especially lesbians, but it's also
I mean, not sure where you're going with this. Pixels are not real. They can't consent. Oh my god, that was such a bad argument. The robot can't consent. Neither can Pokemon, Batman. Oh my god. Anyway, they're just pixels. Just getting your panties in a bunch. The cart with Western feminist ideals. You communist.
Also actually illegal. For example,
It's illegal? What?
in Ukraine, our parliament adopted a law banning sexism in advertising, which became active in January 2022.
So, Ukraine? What do they consider sexism in advertising? Because if you advertise a man beating his woman, yeah, I kind of get that. If you advertise a woman being discriminated for something because she's a woman, I get that. Dude, you're gonna ban those chicks from the sex shops? Again, it sounds like it. Yeah, well, it's Ukraine. Who can ask?
Elected officials have banned showing the superiority of one gender over another in physical, intellectual, or social aspect.
That's a little bit going the extra mile for those Ameribucks, to be honest.
Showing stereotypical roles of men and women, gender-based.
Yeah, I said at some point that I thought a little corner of the world in Eastern Europe would be safe from such nonsense. Through some feminist protest and whatever happens here and there, but again, it's nothing that big or obvious or important for that matter of fact. But I think Ukraine has gone the deep end to that one. Was it one of the reasons? Or no, I can abstain from that, from making that comment. But it really seems they went into this modernization full throttle. Exactly the same way communists did. What's next? You're gonna take everybody from villages and force them to work in factories in the city?
Violence, as well as the human body as a sexual object. In simpler terms, it's just gross and cheap.
Okay, male feminist.
And what pains me to say,
I wonder what you did to women in real life. No, that's just bad. But again, there's this thing with male feminists. It's like snakes in the grass, beautifully colored, then you take them in the bosom and they fucking bite you.
says that it seems to be working. These YouTube shorts and edits are getting millions of views, quickly becoming favorite among the fans, who quickly started to spread rumors about a possible 6-hour sex scene in the video game.
You really fell for that. Interesting. How long have you been on the internet? A day or two? Probably around that line. You see, this is why I tell everybody take stuff with a grain of salt. With skepticism. With sea of salt, even. So you don't get fooled by this.
It's so wrong on so many levels. In conclusion, what can you do to support Ukraine on this matter? If you did,
I do enough already because the government takes my money and helps the Ukrainian refugees with them. Yeah, it's called taxation. Taxation is theft, whatever, the whole spiel. And this part doesn't make any sense.
purchase a pre-order of Atomic Heart, the first and the best step would be to cancel it, request a refund, and send that exact amount of money to Ukrainian charities. The second part is admirable, but not necessary. Simply canceling the pre-order is fine, and let's be honest, in this day and age, you shouldn't be buying pre-orders.
Finally, something that's correct. You shouldn't be buying pre-orders. That's me that buys pre-orders. I know.
Anyway, if you want to go a step further, you can do the following. You can go to the game's shop page, click on the complaint flag, select the item breach of the law contains materials that violate the laws of your country, and write a similar text or something.
Violation of the law of Ukraine on condemnation of the communist and national socialist regimes and prohibition of propaganda of their symbols. Example, the Red Star and the... Oh, come on, that's just pathetic. That's just as pathetic as the Germans having a special button on Twitter to report something for their laws. Let's be honest, that's a joke.
Something on that matter. In case you didn't know, Ukraine has implemented a law that restricts and bans all Soviet and USSR propaganda, symbols, and memorabilia.
Okay, and if you're not from Ukraine, kind of dumb for me to do that as a Romanian. It's kind of dumb to do it in general, to be so triggered by symbols in the game. Did people do that with the Nazi stuff in Wolfenstein, I wonder? Did they do that? I don't think they did.
Memorabilia. We had quite enough of that. If you simply want to stand aside and
The House of Battalion.
be an innocent bystander, there is a way as well. When the game comes out on February 21st, simply play a different game. It's that easy. Don't wishlist Atomic Heart, don't buy it, and go play something like Disco Elysium instead.
No, don't play Disco Elysium. I mean, you know what? You can play Disco Elysium because last I heard, the main comic guy that worked on it got lost the rights to it. He's in some place, and now a company owns that thing. Funny enough. So yeah, just get Disco Elysium to support capitalism, even though just despite the commies that made it.
You should wishlist Stalker 2 though.
You could wishlist both, to be honest. Nothing better than funding both sides of the war.
Some users could make a claim that they could simply pirate it and pay no money to the Russian
True. There's always an option, I guess. But we do not condone that here.
devs and still enjoy the game. To that I can't say anything. At that point it depends only on your moral compass. If you feel comfortable playing the game after watching this video till the end, I've done all in my power and I can't control your wallet, so I can't stop you from pirating this game. It's just up to your morals and ideals.
I hate this moralism over video games. The same stuff they did with Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, please don't buy this. You're supporting a turf. We support so many bad things and so many evil regimes around the world by simply getting the stuff we need. And nobody cries about that. They all tweet from their iPhones and from their superpowered computers that how many kids in Africa had to die for those diamonds and those platinum to make them. You understand what I'm going with this? Moralizing stuff like this doesn't work. Because even you as a Ukrainian are supporting something horrible in some other place. I hate it. It's stupid. It makes no sense. It's trying to play the good guy when there is no good guy in this story. As long as you have something and you're related to the world and how it functions. Even going to the store and buying a product can be just as... how should I say it? You can have just as low morals for buying pineapples or coconuts from the store as you can have from buying Atomic Heart. It's that moralizing over stuff like this isn't helping your argument. It's only making it worse. Because it exposes the hypocrisy that you leftists have and will always have. Because it was never about caring about a certain subject, it's about power. Even this is about exerting power.
At this point. In the description I'll be sending the links to all of the articles used for this video. Whether to check it is up to you. I want to give a shout out to Dirty Wall for helping a lot with the research part for this video, including tweets and articles. And this is why you shouldn't buy Atomic Heart. Misleading marketing, shady pre-orders, USSR glorification, and direct financial gain to Russia's
None of those are good reasons. Everything you just said there is bad, it's wrong, it makes no sense once you think about it for more than 10 seconds.
military. I know that this is not a usual video I would make, but I had to spread a...
Yeah, we're just gonna end it here with him because I'm getting sick of this. I hate it. I hate it. It was boring. It's like 20 minutes and I had to stop at certain points because I couldn't take it anymore. No, it's dumb. Moralizing over, oh, this video game helped this country and this country. Doesn't make sense. Especially in the context where even as Ukrainian, you bought and supported the American government in bombing people in Afghanistan and other places in the world. Not only the American government, but you probably helped something else worse in China as well. Leftist, it's always gonna be this whole ideology thing with them. You have no moral high ground because you're just as, should I say, to blame for this stuff happening in the world as the rest of us. But sure, let me see you smash your electronic devices, and then I'll think about not buying atomic hearts. Yeah, that's it. Smash all your electronic devices and everything, and then I'll think about not buying a video game from a company whose headquarters is in Cyprus and plays taxes to Cyprus. I think I got too angry for this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.